I'm here at Linaro Connect, and we're in Copenhagen, Denmark this time around. And I'm with Zach Pfeffer. Zach is the Linaro Android Tech Lead. Zach, there's been some really exciting things that went on this time here in Copenhagen, one of which was the first Android Mini Summit that we've held at a Connect event. What's the overview of that, and what can we look forward to coming out of that Mini Summit?
So the Mini Summit is kind of like our launching point for the next couple of months, at least until the next Connect in Hong Kong. I think that's been announced, but maybe not. Anyway, I think we're going back to Hong Kong. So
if not, you just announced it.
Between now and then, right, we're really shifting focus into Android engineering. So we've spent a lot of time putting builds out. We'll continue to put builds out. Now we need to shift focus into Android engineering and ensuring that Android runs the best it can on ARM. So to do that, we're looking at the various domains in the Android stack: graphics, power, platform issues, toolchain issues, and JIT, or the VM, Dalvik. In each of those domains, the Mini Summit had a conversation. So it was a great conversation. We talked about a lot of different things, brought in the domain experts, and they were able to give good marching orders, as it were. We were able to have good conversations. That Mini Summit is then feeding into sessions. We've had 2 this morning. We'll have 2 tomorrow, where we can actually deep dive into each one of those things and produce effectively a task list for the next couple of months before the next Connect. That task list will then get turned into roadmap items for Linaro and turned into real projects and real things. So part of my job is to collect up all the bits of information that we've gotten and then create those plans and publish those plans, and people will be able to see what we're hoping to work on.
I know there's some shifts that will be happening between now and Hong Kong with our builds, with what we're going to focus on, with how we're going to focus on some of those reference platforms. How is your team going to shape up how's your team going to bring about those changes and still offer maybe the LEB, or are you going to offer that LEB, or are you going to shift more to an engineering platform more so than the monthly LEB releases?
So we've had the LEB program in place for a couple of years, and it's been pretty successful. It's really demonstrated all of Linaro's value add in each platform. We'll continue to do that. It might be under a different name, but in addition to an enabled platform, we want to create targeted builds. So a lot of the times people have questions like, well, if I switch out like a stock AOSP build for Galaxy Nexus and I swap out the kernel and put your kernel in, what happens? Well, those experiments are easy to do with Linaro, our Android's build system that the infrastructure group at Linaro helps maintain. We can spin up builds easily, and once they kind of get spun up, which can take a month or 2, they're easy to keep going. But then once you have all of those builds, where maybe you change the kernel out, maybe you change the toolchain out, maybe you change AOSP out, then you can make these A/B comparisons much easier. And the problem you run into with an LEB style build is that, well, you've changed 3 things. Which one made the difference? And so to go to the more targeted builds, that helps in that kind of A/B comparison domain. It also helps in the debugging domain, because if you change 3 things and something breaks, well, what broke, right? So you have to change one thing and do that. So I'm looking forward to the more targeted builds. I think they'll be easier to produce, they'll be easier to support, and they'll be more useful. And what I think then is, if we do continue compound builds where we kind of throw everything in the pot and it becomes the build, that they'll be better because we will have kind of bisected each component and then compose those components into a global build. And so we'll see how things go. You know, Linaro is a very dynamic organization, and we kind of pride ourselves on that, even as we're growing and continue to grow. If processes don't make sense, if programs don't make sense, we can move very, very rapidly to make programs and projects that do make sense. Because ARM is probably the most exciting place to be right now, technology-wise. Computing, well, I'll go on a little soapbox, but look, computing's changed. You know, PCs are done. They're done, and it's all about. I mean, who sits on their laptop and watches a movie anymore? Nobody does that. Everybody sits there on the couch with their tablet and plays an increasing variety of builds. And you know, not only have you destroyed the PC market and the console gaming market with these devices that are inexpensive, fully connected, and do exactly what you need to do. So, and a lot of those devices, the majority of those devices are running on our ARM hardware. So we're at this great point in history where Linaro is in the right place at the right time to have a big impact on the world of computing.
I asked someone earlier about the fact that at Linaro, we pride ourselves on the fact that we are building the future of Linux on ARM. And I asked them, were they surprised to be this close to the future? When you look back over what we've achieved at Linaro over the last 2 years, what do you think about that future? And did you think that you personally and you as your team, be influencing that future as much as you are?
Well, it's nice to sit back and kind of look at your track record and say, you know, we've done some good stuff, and kind of see that clack into the ecosystem. But I try not to do it too much, because when I started at Linaro, I gave a talk. It was my first kind of real job, the duty. Alexander Sack, who's been my lead and a great guy for the last 2 years. I'm sure he's been a great guy longer than 2 years, but who knows? I don't know. He said, you know, I want you to get up there and talk, you know, about what you're going to do, right? You're the new Android lead. What are you going to do? And I gave a talk about eating a whale. And I said, you eat a whale one bite at a time. And I still believe that. And I still believe that if we focus on execution, and we focus on consistent, on-time execution, and we keep up our monthly agile process, and we really focus on dotting the I's and crossing the T's, that we'll be able to continue to have a big impact as we, you know, we'll be able to continue to have a good big impact, and that the things that we do in these small ways will clack into the ecosystem, and in 2 years from now, you know, maybe we're somewhere else, you know, maybe we're at a, you know, in a whole different future. But it's because of focusing on those very small things and not trying to get too wrapped up in, well, what does this mean, you know? And I mean, it's good to do that, right? You have to have a plan. You have to have a roadmap. And at Linaro, we do have a roadmap, and we put in those things. But once you kind of get it planned out, you know, it's just day to day, you know. What am I going to do today? How can I make this happen? Because if I make A, B, and C happen, then I can get to D.
Speaking of making A, B, and C happen, your team has 4 demos tomorrow for Demo Friday.
We'll have 4. We have more than. Well, yeah, we're
gonna
throw a few more. Well, we want to make sure. We love our builds, and we love our members, and we love making builds for our members. Right? They're super useful. So we might have a few more. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's all exciting, and I look forward to any of the demos that you're gonna throw my way. But you have some Nexus demos.
Yeah, of course.
So those are exciting to me, but I know you've seen excitement around that from other people who've expressed interest in that. What do you find is the most like, what do people give you the most feedback on it? Why are people looking forward to that? And why are you and your team excited about demoing that?
I can make a phone call on a Linaro optimized build.
Okay,
Who can do that?
Anyone who puts that bill.
Anybody who puts that build on their phone can make a phone call on a Linaro optimized build. They can make a phone call on a build that they can hack the platform on. That is pretty amazing.
So are you hoping people leave the demo tomorrow saying, "Here's my phone. Let's."
Yeah, I'm hoping they dog food our stuff, because that's reality. Everything else is not reality. Until you have a device that you can use day to day in a mobile way, right? You're not really testing your software out. And I think what people will find is when they move to the Linaro builds, and keep in mind, these Linaro builds have been our LEBs. These have been put everything in the build and see what happens. That's what's getting into the Galaxy builds we're putting out. And the Galaxy Nexus builds are fast, and they're great, and they work. And we have bugs, we have regressions, but in general, you're able to make framework changes, platform changes to the Galaxy system, and then flash those changes onto the phone, and also go back. So you can very easily, using standard Android tools, go forward and back and try your stuff out. And this is all because really because of the vision of the Android team in general, where they ensure that every Nexus device is hackable. That's actually the requirement.
As we sit here at Connect, and the name Connect is by no accident, because we do connect with the whole of the ARM community and the whole of those developers that are interested in, whether it's Android, whether it's a Linux distribution, whatever it happens to be around ARM, we do connect with all of those developers in that arena. What can that community look forward to from you and your team as we leave this Connect and look forward to the next one in early 2013? And what do you hope? Where do you hope people now get involved with you and your team?
Well, really, we want to have a big impact with Android on ARM. So we want to make, ARM continues to develop IP that goes into our members' chipsets. We want to make sure that that IP can be used in the most efficient manner, and that we can produce builds that can take advantage of that IP. That's our day-to-day. And if we do that, and we successfully do that over the course of the next few months and then over the course of the year, and we really get that process down so that we're putting out quality engineering output that's tested, validated, then that's where I want to be. I just want to make it work, and make it work really, really well. That's what we need to do, and that's what it's all about.
So for those people who want to get involved and help you make that a reality, how can they get involved with you and your team?
Sure. So we've got IRC, we've got G+, we've got Facebook, we've got email. You can even call me if you want. And although I might be a little bit grumpy depending on the time of day, but not too grumpy. But yeah, you can, and I'm always interested in hearing what people want to do. I mean, we've got FXI came, and FXI was able to come and do some debug and solve some bugs based on builds that they're using to enable their product that one of our members sponsored. So, I mean, how much more Connect can you get, right? You take the SoC vendor, you take Linaro, the open source partner, you take the OEM device, you shove them all in a room, they're able to work pretty darn quick. And leaving this event, they've accelerated their development, by months, just by coming and spending a couple of days with us. And they kind of know what we're going to do, and they kind of know what our plans are, and we know kind of what their plans are. And so we can kind of keep that in mind when we're putting out builds. Because we do find that even though our builds are not a distribution, and they're not a distribution, they are a good basis for people that do want to use builds. One individual, Kareem, who's working on a new book for O'Reilly called Embedded Android, has been using Linaro builds to basically do his embedded Android work, right? They're available. They're easy to recompile. They've got great tools. They're tested. You asked me what I was really, really proud about, though, and I'll tell you what I'm really proud about over the last since Hong Kong. Vishal, Bo, and the team have automated a total of 350 Android tests, including 12 production APKs, 12 production Android benchmarks, all in automation. Now, what that really means is that all of those tests can run across every single platform we have in all the device configurations. That's an N by M test farm. That exists nowhere else. And so what that allows us to do is that allows us to really, really, if we make a change to AOSP, we know how it affects a wide swath of the ARM ecosystem in one go. And that helps people out. That helps AOSP out, because AOSP, they're testing on a lead device. We're testing on all the devices. And so it helps AOSP out, because we're able to, validate changes in a larger farm of devices, and it helps the community out because they have the same assurance. So, I mean, Andy Doan has had some great, has really done great work. Andy Doan and the Lava team, they've taken Lava and they've increased the reliability of Lava to 5 nines at this point. I mean, it's been really, really impressive. So if there's anything I'm really proud of, I'm proud of those guys for making automation really work, because that's big.
Well, Zach, it's always a pleasure to sit down and speak with you, whether we're at Connect or whether it's
Absolutely,
just on a
Amber.
hangout, whether it's just on a hangout during the week about I don't know, something that's not working right. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you and your team do every release cycle between now and our next Linaro Connect, and I'm looking forward to see if these amazing predictions that you have, how quickly they come true. So thank you so much for sitting down with me, and look forward to seeing you in a few months.
Thanks, Amber. I'll see you at the next Connect.